So I'm Nadia Edwards from COSC 110, Section 2. And my choice was, and sorry for the glare from the light on my glasses. My choice was impact on relationships, and I took that as from the comment section attached to the subjects as technology slash internet usage on and that impact on relationships. And so I went into the direction of how much internet are we using today versus like back in the day, because it was this reference of younger people being more engaged or using technology to navigate their relationships than before. And I'm assuming that's like in previous generations. However, when I think about society today, I think like we're all immersed in this highly technological society. And so, in some way, shape, or form, or fashion, we're all participating and navigating relationships through technology. And by default, young people are going to have more access, or not even really access, but they're going to have more dependency on technology to navigate their relationships because that's their known form of communication. And so it's like, in how I look at it, it's less of a generational preference and more of a generational norm. And so I just wanted to like make that clear, and that was the direction in which I wrote my paper. And so I found it interesting that between 2000 and 2018, internet usage had only increased by adults by 37%. And so that's not, and it's like a large margin. I don't really know what the tech world feels about that margin, but in my mind, I'm thinking like a 20-year, almost 20-year time span, to only have a 37% increase in usage is not that drastic. We're like below half, like less than half of adults that 20 years ago would have been using the internet are now using the internet. So even though I think it's like an inflated belief that like social media and the internet and technology is driving our relationships and we're just really highly dependent on them. I really am careful at using language like that and backing, especially with that hardcore data, backing anecdotal like stories and opinions. Even though I'm all about anecdotes, I really do believe they're important, while at the same time I'm very careful and just like running with them and saying like, this is what's going on and this is a new norm and we must look at it from this perspective only, because it's really easy to make the numbers say what you want the numbers to say. I think 37 is low. Someone else can be like 37 is a drastic increase. So okay, yeah. And I also believe that technology has this very great presence in our lives now, and it's always kind of been present in a way. I think technology, well, the definition is actually just scientific, like the applied usage of scientific knowledge. So technology really is everything. It's really not only physical electronic devices, but that's another tangent. And but these electronic technological devices definitely have a very positive impact on our lives and our connectivity. We're like able to be globally connected more rapidly than we've ever been before. I can call Tijuana, or I can call a Jakarta or Ghana, let's just say that, in a second. You know what I'm saying? I can do that way faster than ever before writing a letter or sailing there or not even having access to getting there, because there was nothing that could mobilize. Which, between the times where there was nothing that could mobilize people and how rapidly we're mobilized now or connected, is very, 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 very drastic. I just think sometimes that when we're talking about technology, I think because we are able to like see each other in real time and talk to each other in real time and engage in ways that we have never before, we over exaggerate the presence of technology in our lives. It's like And that goes on the flip side of how technology is declining people's well-being because it's too much connectivity, it's too much access. And so then there's this social pressure that you have to be engaged because you have the accessibility to be engaged. And so that's the double-edged sword of the innovation of technology and its impact on relationships. You can call your family while abroad, or you can migrate to another part of the world and remain connected to your home place faster and easier and more frequently than ever before, while at the same time you can be in a new city or your home city and not even communicate with your neighbors in person, or not feel like you have real live relationships with people, but you only have access to those relationships in a cloud and in an artificial way and outside of your physical reality. And so I did want to reference this quote though, because I felt like it really encompassed the double-edged sword of the impact of technology. And it's certainly true that a number of studies have found a connection between social media use and declines in well-being. But other studies have found opposite results, with people feeling more socially connected as they spend more time on social media. And in my research, it really showed that some relationships, like most relationships, really don't feel like social media and internet usage negatively impacts their relationships. There is a small percentage, it was like 72%, that felt like they didn't. And it was somewhere between like 12 and 15% that felt like, okay, a relationship, the internet usage and social media impacted their relationships in some small or major ways. And so it's just a matter of how we use it. I reference my own, my anecdote that as a millennial, internet usage is like really odd because in how it plays its role in relationships, because I am still from a time and era when we have very, very, very low technology usage. Like, I am the kid that we went outside and rode bikes, and while we also had Xbox and we also had game systems and we also had Nintendos, but we also very avidly participated in the real world, and we saw each other and we talked to each other. When I was a freshman in college in 2009, I didn't have a cell phone. I had a landline in my dorm. And I was one of the few that had a landline in my dorm, but my entire freshman year, from 2009 to fall 2009 to spring 2010, I didn't have a cell phone. And I went back my sophomore year, and my cell phone was like minute. It was like I had it, but it wasn't really an important aspect of my life. So a cell phone did not become a mandatory aspect of my life until 2012. So in just 2012, cell phones became this, everybody has some type of access and need for a cell phone. Now, granted, I grew up relatively poor, so I was able to survive 3 years in college, like relatively having a cell phone, while at the same time, I was able to communicate just fine. It did not prohibit me from like having access to anything. I was still able to get a job. I actually got my job based off of my perseverance of not having a cell phone. And so, and once again, I'm on a tangent because I'm off of relationships, but nonetheless, technology's impact on relationships is varied, and I do want to like emphasize that it's not as negative as people make it out to be, as well as it's not solely an impact on young people's relationships, because we're all immersed in this highly technological world, and so everyone is using technology to access and navigate their relationships, and there may be less skills amongst younger people on how to socially communicate without technology, but I don't know that I have not found, even in my research, that it is this drastic impact on how we're like socially evolving in platonic or familiar relationships or even intimate relationships. Thank you.